Are you a fan of the late actor Dan Blocker? He was a talented entertainer known best for his role as Eric Hoss Cartwright on the Western series Bonanza. Blocker sadly died at the age of 43 in 1972, but his legacy lives on and he's considered to be one of the most beloved American actors of all time. So who is carrying on his legacy today? His sons David and Dirk are grown up and still working in the entertainment industry themselves. Let's learn about Dan Blocker's life and legacy, as well as what his sons are up to. Dan Blocker was born Bobby Dan Davis Blocker, December 10, 1928, in DeKalb, Texas. After graduating from the Texas Military Institute, he attended Sul Ross State University to pursue a degree in speech and drama. He later received a master's degree in dramatic arts following 2 years of military service. During his student years, he worked as a rodeo performer and was a bouncer at a local bar. There, he gained a reputation for entertaining patrons. He had a commanding presence due to his frame and his height, but he also showed how loving and friendly he was, in contrast to his intimidating size. For much of the 50s, he worked as an English and drama teacher in Sonora, Texas. He and his wife Dolphia eventually moved to LA so he could pursue a career as an actor. His first acting role was as a gorilla in a short film called Hook a Crook. Following this role, he began finding bit parts in popular TV shows. These included The Sheriff of Cochise, The Rifleman, and Wagon Train. Early on, it was clear that Dan, being a native Texan, had a knack for westerns. But much of his early career consisted of only bit parts, and he was eager to find a bigger role. His big breaks on TV came in 1957 and 58 when he became a regular on the show The Restless Gun, where he played a different character in 5 different episodes. Through this show, his presence was becoming more well-known. He drew the attention of not just TV producers, but was also slowly becoming a face audiences wanted to see. His first recurring character was Tiny Budinger in the Western series Cimarron City in 1959. That same year, he was cast as Eric Hoss Cartwright in the new Western series Bonanza, and the rest is history. Hoss was the middle brother who was arguably the best-loved character of the show. It was also a role Dan Blocker loved playing and one that made him a huge star. It's not surprising the show wasn't the same after he passed away. Sadly, Dan Blocker left us at the height of his career. He died at age 43 on May 13, 1972, due to a pulmonary embolism that occurred after a gallbladder surgery. Before we tell you about what Dan Blocker's sons are up to today, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. David Blocker. David Blocker was born May 4, 1955, just as his father Dan was beginning his career. He decided to follow in his father's footsteps in showbiz, but focused his talents behind the camera, though he made one appearance in the 2017 film Ray Meets Helen and had a role in an episode of Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, in 1993. He started his career as a producer in 1983, when he served as an executive producer for the documentary Return Engagement, that focused on the debating tours between Timothy Leary and G. Gordon Liddy. It was clear he had a flair for producing and wanted to be involved with bringing interesting and unique films to audiences. In 1984, he produced the romantic dramedy Choose Me, which was written and directed by Alan Rudolph and starred Keith Carradine, Genevieve Buchholz, Ray Don Chong, and John Larroquette. And he's been behind the production of some of the best American independent films ever since. He continued to produce feature films throughout the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, he also produced perhaps 2 of the most famous TV movies in recent history. The first was Tyson, the biopic of boxer Mike Tyson. The film starred Michael Jai White as Mike Tyson and was lauded by critics and audiences. Of course, one of the central characters in Mike Tyson's life was boxing promoter Don King. 2 years after Tyson was released, the TV movie Don King Made in America reached our screens. This was the incredible biopic of the boxing promoter and became one of David Blocker's biggest successes. He's continued producing feature films, TV movies, and a few shorts. His most recent credits are serving as co-executive producer for the TV series The Shannara Chronicles and as an executive producer for an episode of the 2020 show The Wilds. Dirk Blocker. Dirk Blocker was born July 31, 1957 in LA. He's followed his father's footsteps and is a successful actor in his own right. His love for acting came from spending time with his father on the set of Bonanza. Dirk noticed how much fun his father had, but also how he was a professional and how he was highly regarded by his colleagues. By observing Dan in action, young Dirk Blocker knew his fate was also to become an actor. His first role was as Benji in 2 episodes of Marcus Welby, MD, both released in 1974. He then followed this up with bit parts in popular TV shows, including Little House on the Prairie, Lucas Tanner, and The Oregon Trail. His big break came with a recurring role as Lieutenant Jerome Jerry Bragg on the show Black Sheep Squadron. He continued to appear in bit parts in TV shows and had occasional film work throughout the 70s and 80s. His first major film role was in the now classic horror film Poltergeist. A year later, he found another great recurring role as Dr. Norman Rostov in the TV show Ryan's 4. He also appeared in the films Prince of Darkness and Made in Heaven, the latter of which was produced by his brother Dirk. He's kept himself busy working mostly on TV shows, including Beverly Hills 90210, Criminal Minds, and Deadwood. His most recent role is as Michael Hitchcock in the popular series Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's also appeared in a few TV movies that continue with the Bonanza world. These include Bonanza the Return, Back to Bonanza, and Bonanza Under Attack. Dan's legacy. While 2 of his children, David and Dirk, have carved their own parts in show business, they're grateful to their father for introducing them to the industry. They've made it on their own, but they also acknowledge the incredible contribution that Dan Blocker made to American television. Dirk Blocker is more public as an actor and is happy to discuss his father when he gives an interview. While Dirk is more public, he stated he enjoys being a character and supporting actor as he was overwhelmed by the fame and lack of privacy his father had to deal with at the height of his career. Dan Blocker's portrayal of Hoss Cartwright is arguably one of the most popular characters in the history of American TV. While it's been over half a century since Bonanza first reached American audiences, the show has become an integral part of what we now call Americana. Even if you've never seen Bonanza or any of Dan Blocker's roles, you'll recognize him as the lovable giant, which he portrayed through many of his characters. But he was also remembered as a great friend and colleague in real life. His wife Dolphia stepped away from the limelight following his passing, and his other 2 children aren't involved in showbiz. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think today's audiences recognize his contribution to American television? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.